All rise. All rise. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The Blount County Legislative Body is now in session with the Honorable Gary Farmer, Chairman, presiding. All persons having business with this Honorable Commission, draw near, give attention, and you shall be heard. God save the United States of America, the great state of Tennessee, and this Honorable Commission. Boy Scout Troop 285 will come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Y'all may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to the March 15th, 2018 meeting of the Blount County Commission. If you would, please give your attention to the emergency evacuation announcement.
Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
Make sure everyone has please registered their attendance. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 members present. Commissioners Kaler and King are absent.
Commissioners Kaler and King both called to say they had a scheduling conflict. We have a quorum. I will stand for a motion to set tonight's agenda. Motion by Mr. Bowers, second by Commissioner Carter.
Just one second.
You ready? Seeing no lights, please vote to set tonight's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, there are 19 yes votes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Moving forward, stand for a motion to approve tonight's consent calendar.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Commissioner Bennett on the motion, Commissioner French on the second. Seeing no lights, please vote to approve tonight's consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman, there are 17 yes votes and 2 no votes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. In light of the approval of the consent calendar, I would like to ask Commissioners Bennett and Lewis to come forward, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask Commissioner Lewis if he would read this proclamation honoring our elected officials and our department heads on a clean audit, which all of us, Blount County Commissioners and all Blount County citizens, should be very, very proud of. I'd also ask any other commissioners that would like to stand with us if they want to come forward, please do.
I'll stand behind you.
Proclamation. Whereas on January the 24th, 2018, the Tennessee Comptroller, Justin P. Wilson, announced Blount County has achieved a distinctive honor by receiving a clean audit for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017, an achievement especially significant for Blount County, which has received a clean audit for the third year in a row, which has only been matched by one other county in the state. And whereas a clean audit reveals a strong system that allows for accurate financial reporting and clear checks and balances that keep and protect taxpayer money. And whereas Ed Mitchell, Mayor of Blount County, and the following elected and/or appointed officials deserve recognition for this outstanding accomplishment: James Barong, Sheriff; Tom Hatcher, Circuit Court Clerk; Phyllis Crisp, Register of Deeds; Scott Graves, Trustee; Gay Hasty, County Court Clerk; Tim Helton, Property Assessor; Jeff Hedrick, Road Superintendent; Mike Flynn, District Attorney General; Matt Garner, Public Defender; Stephanie Ogle, Clerk and Master; Susan Hughes, Register of Elections; Judge David Dugan; Judge Tammy Harrington; Judge William Brewer; Judge Robert Hedrick; Judge Mike Gallegos; Judge Kenlon Foster; and School Superintendent Rob Britt. And whereas special recognition should be given in the Accounting Office of Blount County, led by Director of Accounts and Budget Randy Vineyard, and including Dina Finley, Angelique Schenkel, Jacqueline Johnson, Faye McDaniel, Gary Rogers, Joey Bailey, Joyce Bott, Carolyn Oakes, and Amy Cowden. And whereas the Blount County Legislative Body wishes to recognize the accomplishments and efforts of the Blount County elected officials, department heads, and accounting office for their excellent financial reporting. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Blount County Board of Commissioners that we do hereby give honor and recognition to the Blount County elected officials, department heads, and the accounting office for their outstanding achievements and their service to our community. We invite all Blount County citizens to join us in applauding the accomplishments of this dedicated group of public servants.
Cheat sheet is. It's all right. Moving on now to item C, public input on items on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item on tonight's agenda? Seeing no hands or no lights, we'll move forward. Item D, election appointments and confirmations. Stand for a motion to approve item D1. Motion from Mr. Caskey. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Carter. Seeing no lights for questions, please vote.
Commissioner Daly, do you wish to vote? Mr. Chairman, there are 17 yes votes and 2 have abstained.
Thank you very much. Moving forward, item number 2, Financial Committee. Stand for a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner French on the motion. Commissioner Lewis on the second. Seeing no lights for questions, please vote to approve.
Mr. Chairman, there are 14 yes votes, 2 no votes, and 3 have abstained.
Thank you very much. Moving forward to item number 3. Stand for a motion to approve Commissioner Lewis to Parks and Rec Commission.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Motion Commissioner Bennett, second Commissioner Carver. Seeing no lights, please vote to approve.
Mr. Chairman, there are 18 yes votes and 1 abstain.
Thank you very much. Moving forward to new business, as we have no unfinished business tonight, I'll stand for a motion to approve item number 1 on new business, Highway Department, Kensal Springs Bridge Project. Do I have a motion to approve? Commissioner Carter on the motion, Commissioner Stinnett on the second. Oh, just 1 second. Let me get my. Commissioner Monroe, you're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask some questions that maybe you could direct.
Please direct them to the chair, and we'll see if we can get an answer for you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Is this bridge within the corporate limits of Townsend?
Is it in the corporate
Yeah,
limits?
is it within the city limits of Townsend?
I can't answer that. It is not in the city limits of Townsend, no, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And it says in here that it would cost more to tear it down than it would to fix it. How much more are we talking? And what is the long-term maintenance cost associated with the upkeep?
Mayor, do we have an estimate on what it would cost to remove this bridge? That's one of your questions, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The last time this was brought before the commission by Highway Superintendent Dunlap, the estimates that he had got to meet TDEC requirements and all the other EPA requirements to tear this building down or to tear this bridge down over Little River was over $750,000, and I believe that's been 4 or 5 years ago. This bridge is the gift that just keeps on giving. And, you know, this bridge, trying to fix this bridge goes back to 1996, where it's been in front of this commission. And the commission has allocated money to do this, and for some reason, it's just been pushed and pushed and pushed. Well, it's pushed so far now that this bridge, we've got to do something, or we're going to have to start down the process of tearing it down. And I have no idea. It could be $1 million to $1.5 million to put this bridge in that water up there to meet TDEC requirements.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes. So if we go ahead and approve the funds to fix it, how much are we talking long-term maintenance?
The highway superintendent just advised me an estimate of 30 years.
Okay. Is this going to be a one-lane bridge? I mean, are people,
Please direct it to me, and I'll
Yeah,
direct
okay.
it to him, because it maybe should go
All
to
right.
someone else besides him, so.
how have people been getting around up there since the bridge is
I can answer
closed?
that. There is a new bridge. This bridge is not currently active as a bridge for transportation, is it? Thank you.
And once we fix it, it will be?
No, it will not. We're not repairing it to the point of it being used for transportation.
So we're just repairing it for historical purposes?
It can be, it will be used for walking trails and bike trails. That will be the use of that bridge.
And to
after
keep
that.
having to tear it down.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other lights, please vote to approve. Or no to disapprove.
Mr. Chairman, there are 17 yes votes and 1 no vote.
Moving forward to item number 2, this same 58,000. Stand for a motion to approve. Commissioner Caskey, do I have a second? Commissioner Lewis on the second. Seeing no lights or questions, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, there are 17 yes votes and 2 no votes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3, Resolution 18-03-002. I'll stand for a motion to approve. Commissioner French on the motion, Commissioner Carter on the second. Commissioner Akert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In looking over this project, I've looked at it a lot of different ways. I first became aware of it in a education committee meeting when it was being presented via slide show, on the projector. And then I went and looked at the stadium at William Blount in fairly good detail, and there's a definite need there. When I was picturing in my mind the cost for this, I wasn't thinking that it would be anywhere close to this much money. But I am thankful that our bid package, that we do have the bids from the folks that submitted the bids according to the specifications that we're requiring. And I see that one of them was more than double what we're talking about here today. So I definitely appreciate the folks that have given us that information. I would, however, like to amend the resolution to reflect the amount of the actual bid rather than the additional money that is being shown on here above and beyond the bid. I believe that we should treat anything that comes up in addition to a contract as a separate matter. So I would like to amend the amount from the $497,000 that's from the amount that's listed to show $447,260, which is the combination of the 2 bids that we received from Volunteer Restoration Incorporated.
All right, so you're making a motion to amend
The amount
from 492,000 to 447,260.
260. Yes, sir.
Do I have a second on the motion to amend? Second from Commissioner Monroe on the motion to amend. We will first be dealing with the motion to amend.
Yes, we will. I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. Are you finished, Commissioner Ackert? If you do, I have several lights on.
Okay. Yes, I'm done.
Okay. Commissioner Carter?
Yes, I was just going to say that I'm just in awe being on the education committee and seeing Mr. Aker there 3 times in the whole 4 years we've been here, that he even has concerns with this right now. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Bennett?
Chairman, my question is, the $492,000 that was approved by the Budget Committee, I see where Commissioner Aker gets the amount of 440, but will that 440,000 then also help pay for, I'm sure there's architecture fees and fees to oversee this. So my question would be, do we need the 492,000 to complete this project? The extra money being for, again, somebody else had to explain that to me, but I'd like to know how the school board first approved 492 and then the Budget Committee.
I'm going to recognize Mr. Vineyard. Do you have the information that Commissioner Bennett just requested?
If I remember correctly, the amount that is being reduced by the amendment would be the amount that the school board presented as a contingency.
Okay. Included, does that answer your
That
question?
answer, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We currently have an amendment to reduce the amount from 492 to 447,260. Commissioner Stinnett, you're recognized.
Chairman, so if we don't use the 492, does that money come back to the general fund, or what happens to the money if it's
It's
not
school
used?
system's money.
I understand, but does it go back to their?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay, so if they don't use it, if they don't need it, then it goes back into the rainy day fund. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Crowe,
I'd like to hear from the school board as to why they put this contingency in there to begin with.
do I have someone from the school board who can answer this? Hello, Mr. Logan. Troy Logan, Financial Director for Blount County Schools. If you would, you heard the question. Would you mind answering?
I will. I did. I asked the school board to approve and include a 10% contingency on a project that I felt of that nature and of that size. I wanted to make sure that I had a contingency, which is just that. I don't know what might happen, but if something comes up that they find that we don't know about or that we can't see, that's outside of the specs of the bid contract, then that money would be there for us to be able to use. But if it's not needed, as Mr. Stinnett said, we won't spend it if it's not needed.
That answer your question, Commissioner Crowe?
Just kind of to throw it out here just a little bit so everybody understands. If you just set that much money aside and then you run into a problem, then it slows everything down tremendously for you to come back to the commission to get any overage that you might have. Is that correct?
If it's not included in there, we would have to stop and go back through the process to reappropriate additional monies if it were needed.
That could be in the middle of the upcoming need for the bleachers, correct?
Please direct your
I am
questions
sorry.
to the chair.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
It could be any time, Mr. Crowe.
Thank you.
Commissioner Akert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the documentation that we have here says that this is a total price for full completion of this work and all associated cleanup for this line item, I believe we shouldn't appropriate more money than what it calls for. I have been a party to being involved in a special called emergency meeting when we needed to get dump trucks that we weren't expecting. We had a commission meeting that was a special called meeting that we were able to address something in a very expedited manner. And I believe if we have something that comes up on this project, we should address it as a separate item and approve by the commission so that we're holding our vendors accountable for their bid that they submit. And I would encourage everyone to do the same. And if something did come up, let's be willing to have another meeting and appropriate the funds at that time. Yeah, as Mr. Logan stated, the additional money that he put in there is a guess for what it might be on the project of this size.
I think he said it's a contingency. I don't think he said it's a guess.
Right, but he
Okay.
made the number, an estimate on a project of this size. And if, as it is now, if we went with the contingency money and it needed $100,000 instead of $50,000, we would still be coming before the commission to address it. So why don't we just approve the contract as the bid and address any overage that comes about, since the contract does say for them to provide the total price for full completion and all associated cleanup. So I would ask for you to support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Monroe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Commissioner Akerd's concern and attempt to hold the line on spending to protect the taxpayers. And I don't think that we should take any opportunity of someone being legitimately concerned about taxpayer money to take a cheap shot at them, like just occurred in this meeting. That was disrespectful. Thank you.
Ma'am. Commissioner Robbins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If unforeseen conditions should arise, the contractor will be required to submit a change order request. Is that correct?
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Caskey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that if the school system needed more additional funding for the project, the first thing they would have to do is go back to the school board, get approval for that project, or for approval for that funding. Then it would have to come back to the budget committee, I believe. Then it would have to go to the agenda committee. Then it would finally come to the commission. So you're not talking about calling a special call meeting immediately to deal with this issue. And I believe this is using fund balance. So if it's not used, it goes back into the fund balance. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. The professional consulting agency that the school board hired to put this together, did they recommend a contingency?
I can't answer that. Mr. Logan? Engineering firm who put the bid together, did they recommend a contingency?
I can't say they did, no.
They did?
No.
Okay.
I didn't ask them for an opinion
Oh.
on that either.
You didn't ask and they didn't offer?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner French?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In my limited knowledge of construction work, I think Commissioner Robbins is involved in it. I think Commissioner Allen is. If a change order has to be issued, does that not incur additional expense? Every change order that is issued incurs another expense, if I'm not mistaken. And in any house construction I've been involved with, a change order is another expense above and beyond what the initial contract calls for. So if we can avert
most
that.
Most commonly, yes.
So if we can avert that, to me, it seems like good fiscal responsibility, good stewardship to allow for that, instead of having to go through the whole process over and over again. What if they meet something, if they come upon something and we have to go through that process, we okay that, and then they run into something else down the line and we go through the same process again. So my understanding is we're trying to complete this project for the next school year, but I don't know it, but we're trying to get this done as soon as possible to prevent any further damage. So I'm sorry, but I'll have to vote against the amendment.
Seeing no additional lights, we will be voting to amend from 492 to 447, 260. If you wish to amend the amount, vote yes. If you do not wish to amend the amount, vote no.
Mr. Chairman, there are 6 yes votes, 13 no votes.
Motion to amend fails. We are still with the motion to approve from Commissioner French and second from Commissioner Carter. Seeing no lights, we will vote to approve.
Mr. Chairman, there are 17 yes votes and 2 no votes.
Thank you very much. That is approved. Moving forward to item number 4, Resolution 18-03-003. This is a grant application for Parks and Rec. I'll stand for a motion to approve. Commissioner Lewis with a motion, Commissioner Bennett with a second. Commissioner Monroe, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would this be guaranteeing the county's general funds for this?
Mayor, I'm assuming this is the grant application. Okay. Mr. Vineyard, would you like to address this, please?
The Parks and Rec grant program that the state has is highly competitive. To be able to have a shot at getting awarded a grant, the legislative body has to commit the money for the match. That's what we're bringing to you. So yes, you are committing, if you approve, you're willing to spend up to $72,500 to match a state grant.
Okay,
Does that answer your question, ma'am?
it does. I have another one.
Okay.
What is the fund balance, Park and Rec's fund balance right now?
I don't know that. Mr. Vineyard, do you by chance know that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Could-
Is anyone here from Park and Rec who could answer that? I do not see Mr. Huff, so he's the only one I'm aware of who would be here that could answer that, and I don't see him, ma'am.
Okay. Could we guarantee Park and Rec's fund balance for this project instead of the county's fund balance?
We can't, I'll answer that for you. We can't speak for Parks and Rec's board. They have their own board, correct?
Okay, then I move to postpone this till next month so we can find out whether Parks and Rec's funds can be used.
Okay, you have a motion to postpone till next month. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Miller on the second. We have a motion to postpone. Commissioner Robbins?
Would this postponement put us past the deadline for the application of the grant?
I'll have to find out. Do you know the application, the deadline, Mayor? Because I do not.
It does push us past this.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, may I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
The Everett Gym, each one of us, the cities of Maryville, the city of Alcoa, and the county has due responsibilities for different parts of what the Parks and Rec, the whole entity itself is. One of our responsibilities is the Everett Recreation Center. And so when you ask, does the Parks and Rec pay for it, that it is our responsibility to take. We just put new bleachers in the facility, very nice bleachers that we did with them last year. This is the original floor in that gym from 1954, 55. I mean, this floor cannot be sanded again. It cannot be refinished. And, you know, you look at what Maryville and Alcoa are doing with their swimming, they're investing millions and millions and millions of dollars into those swimming pools in both of their respective cities. I think this is a very small amount for us to be asked to come up with to help that recreation center that has there's thousands of kids go through that recreation center a year, and it is one of the most used recreation facilities probably in East Tennessee. I just think that by working with Parks and Rec, who are great to work with, Joe and his board are great to work with, they've stepped forward on this grant. I think this is our due diligence to match this grant with them.
Thank you. Are you finished or you got more, ma'am?
I certainly understand the need. And in the past, you could go online and look up the fund balance, but the accounting system's not online. So I don't know what Park and Rec's fund balance is, but the last time I looked at some numbers, I thought they had a pretty healthy amount of money, but I haven't seen any recently. The information's not available online through the accounting software. So that's my concern, is we have some of these fund balances, and why aren't we using certain fund balances instead of going to the general fund? Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No disrespect to anybody's motion, but if the grant's going to run out before the next month, we just need to vote yes or no on this, because postponing it is just vote no.
That's correct.
So I respectfully request the withdrawal of that motion if that's possible.
We currently have a motion to postpone and a second. Seeing no lights, we will be voting on the motion to postpone. A yes, we'll postpone it until next month, which indeed does put it past the deadline. A no, we will go back to the main motion. Please vote.
Commissioner Miller, do you wish to vote? Mr. Chairman, there's 1 yes vote and 17 no votes.
Motion fails. We'll go back to the original motion. Seeing no lights, please vote to approve or disapprove the original motion.
Mr. Chairman, there are 18 yes votes and 1 no vote.
Thank you very much. Moving forward. Go to item number 5, resolution 18-03-013, amend the zoning maps. Planned rural resort. Stand for motion to approve. Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Bowers. Seeing no lights, please vote to approve. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Monroe. Huh? Okay, you hit your light after I'd already taken the vote. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
16 yes votes and 2 no votes.
Thank you very much. Moving forward to item number 5, resolution 18-03-014. What did I say, 5? I meant 6. I'm sitting here looking at it. I apologize. Item 6. It's still the resolution number that I read, 18-03-014. Approving addendum to the ambulance service. Stand for motion to approve. Commissioner Stinnett on the motion, Commissioner Lewis on the second. Seeing no lights, please vote to approve. What? I'm sorry. Vote.
Who did not vote? Okay.
I'm sorry, someone hit their light after we'd started the vote and she shut it off, and I'm sorry it cut you three off. Madam Clerk, would you please get their vote and add it in, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Akerd? Commissioner Crowe? Commissioner Stinnett? Okay. Okay, 17 yes votes.
Thank you very much. That is approved. Moving on to announcements and statements, I would like to recognize Jason Emmert, who is with us tonight. He is seeking nomination to the 2nd District Congressional seat, currently held by Jimmy Duncan. I'm happy to have you with us, Mr. Emmert. I know you're a resident of Knox County, I think, currently, but I think you've got family members in Wallen, though, don't you?
Yeah, family members in Wallen, we both in Louisville and live down Little Dugout Road, so we're up here, raised here, and happy to be here tonight, and look forward to talking to you guys later.
Thank you very much for coming by to see us. We appreciate it. Moving on with announcements and statements. The next commission agenda meeting will be April 10th, 2018 in this room at 6:30 p.m. I don't have my sheet, so I'm winging it. Beer board will be at 6 p.m. on the 10th also. Any other announcements or statements? Seeing none, public input on items not on tonight's agenda. Does anyone wish to speak? Please come forward, Ms. Crisp.
I guess I'm a little taken back on something, but I'll get across what I want to say. I'm Phyllis Crisp. I'm the Register of Deeds. I'm really proud of our audit. It takes a lot for a county to be able to achieve that, and that means a lot to all of us office holders, because every day we do checks and balances. It's not like, this is up on us, you know, we've got to nail down, and we do it every day. But the reason I'm up here stating that is it really meant a lot for the 17 commissioners, and this is not a cheap shot, but for the 17 commissioners that came up here to honor us for that, especially Mr. Melton. He had to unhook his oxygen and made his way up here. And Mr. Robbins, a veteran, he was there to assist him. You know, there's something wrong when we don't have all of our commissioners up here supporting us when we've done something that great. And when we have 2 commissioners that it's all, you know, took a lot for them to come up here, I want to thank you, the whole 17 that came up here for us, but you 2 guys especially. Mr. Robbins, it brought tears to my eyes when you reached to help Mr. Belt. That means a lot. That's a commissioner. You're a commissioner. People like you want to serve our community, and I appreciate it. And when you do appreciate somebody, you need to let it be known. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak public input on items not on tonight's agenda? Please come forward, sir. Please identify yourself.
Keith Miller, District 4. I've attended a lot of commission meetings, and I don't know if this just has happened lately. I haven't got a date on this trend. I don't think it was the way it was maybe 6 months or so ago. But on the agenda, we have the words, public input on items not on the agenda. And I'm hearing public input on items that were on the agenda or that did take place during the meeting. And I think that if you're going to have words, words mean things. So if you're going to have these words here, they need to be changed to reflect what's going on, or those who want to comment on items on the agenda need to be corrected that they are commenting that the time, according to what's on the paper, is for items that are not on the agenda. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir. Former Commissioner Moon, State Representative Moon, come forward and identify yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Aaron's Law this year, you sent a number of requests down to the General Assembly. Aaron's Law did not make it out of the committee. It failed to make it out of the committee because of a doctrine. State of Tennessee, we charge people for the commission of an act, not an omission of an act. It will be back next year. The Pyrotechnics Private Act repeal is going before local government probably in 2 weeks for action on that. Your request to name 3 bridges and designate 1 highway has been barcoded and has been placed in the omnibus bill, and that will be up for action in April, right before adjournment. A number of the commissioners came down and went to the session in some of the hearings. The Pro-Nova bill, also known as the proton therapy bill, is currently in insurance and banking, and you got to experience an hour and 55 minutes of debate. It had to be rolled the next week because they ran out of time in the meeting room. Another side note quickly is the House passed today bills that relate to education. No new testing. Current testing will be as it is, but no new testing can be brought if it passes the Senate and signed by the governor. Local school boards we're going to be given more discretion on how much of the state test can be used in determining a student's grade. In the lower grades, 0 to 25%, higher grades 10 to 25%. And if those grades aren't brought to the LEAs in a timely fashion, then the local board will determine how much will be used in the grade. Also, good news, Secretary of State notified, I'm sure the clerk knows this, that Archives and Jackie Glenn's office has received another grant. Those folks over there do a great job seeking grants, and they're being successful at it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, former Commissioner Moon and Representative Moon. Anyone else? Mr. Emmett, come forward, please. I think you've already identified yourself, but please do so again.
Mr. Chairman, I do appreciate you allowing me to speak tonight, and it's a great honor to be here in more ways than one. I know people on this commission, Brad Bowers being one of them. I have worked for people on this commission, Mr. Bennett, for people in this room, Mrs. Crisp was one of the great inspirations when I was a kid. I have known you all, I've known several of you all my life. If the mayor will admit to that, I'll admit to it as well, Mr. Stinnett. And so it's great to be here before you guys today as a candidate for Congress. And actually, the journey for Congress started right here in this building. The first job I had in politics was working for this county commission, was working for 2 people who have now left us, and Mr. Crisp and Mrs. Woodruff, who have been a great inspiration on everything else that I have done, as well as former Commissioner Williams whenever he was here. I take a lot of pride in how I developed as a conservative, as a young man, and now what I carry as an adult into my political career from what I learned here as a high school student. And so it is a great honor to be on this side of the bench and not stapling papers in the back and trying to get Mr. Kidd off of his computer long enough to vote from the early 2000s. But I'm running, like I said, for this community. I don't have to go into how long our family's been here. We are committed to this community. We've been here for 7 generations, and I'm very proud of that heritage. It's part of who I am, and that's why I'm running. It's why I'm a conservative. It's why we live here. I've been married here. I have my business here. And as a conservative from Blount County, we all share those same values. We share the values that we know in this country something's wrong. And nationally, we need to change. There's a great shift coming in our country, and I want to be a part of that. And I don't think career politicians are the answer to that. And so I've stepped up and put my name forward because I believe this country has an abysmal problem in health care. We have an opioid crisis in our community that we have seen go almost rampantly, and it affects almost everyone in this room and in our county. I saw it whenever I was a student in law school working with Mike Flynn in the Attorney General's office. So this has all been learned here in this county. I know that around the world in the business that I work in, it's a dangerous place. We have few friends and many enemies who lurk in the dark. We have to bring those people to light, and we have to be able to challenge people around the world with our strength and our message, and realize that America is the greatest, most prosperous nation on earth because we are exceptional. Because we come from the greatest place on earth with more opportunity than any other nation. People still climb and swim and try to get here in every way to our nation. And we should be proud of that. And we shouldn't let that go. But that doesn't mean that we have to be a bully or work our way into other people's affairs. And I do believe in the America First agenda, and what President Trump has put forward is a position of strength, but not a position of meddling. And lastly, we do have an immigration problem in this nation that has allowed the border to have rampant violence. It has also allowed people to cut line of the good-natured people who have waited for years to become American citizens, because it is a privilege to be a citizen of this country. And so when I am in Congress, when I am here locally, I want to focus on 3 things, and that's solving our health care problem, solving our immigration crisis, and working to make sure that we have the best national security in the world. So I appreciate your time. If you haven't followed our campaign, please go to jasonemmerich.com. You can find out more information about me, who I am, and what I want to do for our 2nd Congressional District, our community, and our country most of all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing no hands, I'll stand for a motion to adjourn. This meeting's adjourned.